Hello my viewers, welcome back to Mushi League. This is Starstruck Shiny, one of the Wishing Star Jirachis, and I'm here to commentate the finals of Season 18 of the Advanced League. This season is contested between the Wishing Star Jirachis and the Psychic Guardians. Today's video features my teammate Umberto, also known as First Movement Solo, and VZR, another teammate, albeit from the Reggie Runners, a couple seasons ago. This is the very first match of the week. It takes 7 wins for one team to claim victory. Who will win this set and who will win the season? Let's find out. So Umberto leads with Tyranitar and VZR leads with Metagross. So what Metagross should do is force Tyranitar to switch out, and then we see Skarmory getting switched in on a non-banded Meteor Mash, and then the Skarmory is most likely going to get trapped by Magneton, and then it just dies to Thunderbolt. Pretty standard stuff. So as Charizard comes in, a big question is to be asked. Well, not a big question, but after Magneton has trapped Skarmory and killed it, its best course of action should be to be sacrificed so that something else can revenge kill the fire type. However, Magneton does have other uses in advance, so VZR could save the Magneton and switch out, and Charizard probably should just go for a fire move here. Although, lots of times when Charizard does go for a fire move to threaten something out, it can just substitute on the switch instead. But I think in this case, Charizard should just use Flamethrower or Fire Blast so that if Magneton does stay in for a sacrifice, it doesn't lose HP. And we see Suicune taking the Flamethrower anyways. This way, the Pokemon that has to switch out is Charizard. And we see Zapdos come in here, taking decent damage from a Surf. And we can infer that VZR has either a blue offense team, which contains like Snorlax and Heracross, or a Magdoll team, which contains Claydol, Salamence, and Snorlax, or Blissey in the back. Meanwhile, Umberto most likely has a mixed offense team with Spikes, which is pretty good into certain teams, although Magdoll against a Skarmory team is usually not a good sign for the opponent. But there are many things that could unfold in games regardless of team matchups, so we gotta keep watching to see how this game unfolds. Anyways, Magneton now gets sacrificed to Zapdos, although with leftovers it has a chance to survive 2 Thunderbolts, and it actually does. So Magneton gets to chip Zapdos for a lot of HP here. So now it looks like Umberto should be careful with Zapdos here, because he can revenge kill stuff later on in the match. So having the chip there makes it so that Zapdos can't really switch into a lot of things except maybe Earthquake. Claydol switches into another Thunderbolt, threatening Rapid Spin, and VZR is unafraid of any Ghost type switching in. And Umberto goes for Hidden Power and tries to 1v1 this Claydol, but it goes down to Psychic eventually. Oops. Yeah, it does go down, and then Charizard Revenge kills it. Now we see Salamence going in here, and notice that the Salamence didn't have an item, but it took Sandstorm damage first, so it's likely that this Salamence outspeeds the Charizard, but it's also possible that both of them have either 299 or 328 speed, indicating a speed tie. If I were Umberto, I would have switched out here, but switching out isn't really easy to do, especially when you don't have Skarmory alive, because the Salamence could be mixed with a weird type boosting item or a Lumberry, or it could try to predict the switch and go for like Earthquake or something, but I would middle ground against Hidden Power Flying or Rock Slide. Flygon comes in on the Rock Slide, and the Mist doesn't really matter here, and then the Salamence is getting slowly chipped here. Blissey comes in, revealing that this is a Magdoll team, and Flygon gets a very clutch critical hit, making Blissey almost unable to survive. Now Magneton has to get sacrificed for Salamence to get a free switch. Or not Salamence, Suicune. Jirachi comes in on Surf, not wanting to set up early, and this Jirachi could do a number of things to Suicune. Metagross comes in to check it, as Jirachi goes for Calm Mind here. Next turn, Jirachi goes for Fire Punch and does not get the burn, but Metagross explodes. I'm not sure if that explosion was a roll, but it very well could be. So potentially, this, depending on the moves that Jirachi has, it could potentially threaten anything that's coming in. Although if Blissey comes in, Jirachi can't really do anything because Blissey is just so tanky, and it can heal off that critical hit almost easily. Jirachi would have to go for like an Ice Punch Freeze or a Thunderbolt Paralysis. But if I were Umberto, I would have tried to keep the Jirachi in the back so that it can go for a revenge kill late game. Jirachi Calm Minds again, and on a soft boiled, although can't really do much here anyway, because it does not have Protect or anything to gain more HP. So yeah, it goes down to Seismic Toss. Umberto is banking on Blissey only having Ice Beam as an attacking move. Tyranitar Dragon Dance is in Blissey's face, and I think VZR was going to sacrifice their Blissey as like their best attempt here. Suicune comes in to take the Wish, so it can pretty much arrive at the battlefield with full HP. Although Suicune can't really check Tyranitar that well because of Rock Slide flinches. Although Suicune does get the Roar off. Charizard comes in, and it threatens Hidden Power Grass, but Salamence comes in, eats that Hidden Power like it's nothing, and it's anyone's guess as to which move Salamence is going to be locked into. So briefly go over the endgame's game state here. So VZR has Salamence left at 75% with Rock Slide, so this could be a Dragon Dance Salamence. We've got Suicune at 51%, which can't really set up a sweep unless Tyranitar comes in. Then we have a Blissey at 54%, so it could probably be exploited by Soft Voiled. VCR doesn't have a really good out here. If Tyranitar was down, Salamence could have done a lot with Hidden Power Flying. I think they need to make some hard reads in order to get back in this game. Charizard's at full health, so probably still can't take a Rock Slide, and it's kind of passive into Suicune, although Suicune can't really take a Dragon Claw and Hidden Power Grass. Charizard can exploit Blissey's status moves with Focus Punch, although that's not revealed yet. We don't know if it does have it, but it probably should. Anyways, let's continue. We can see that both players decided to trade their Pokemon that are currently in battle. It's possible that this Salamence has Brick Break instead of Rock Slide for coverage, but Salamence is at 2% here. Blissey comes in on the Dragon Dance, and Salamence can be used to pivot once. This Tyranitar does have Double Edge, so it does ensure the kill here at the cost of a huge amount of recoil here. Suicune can try to threaten it with Surf, but I think Surf has to 2-hit KO. Tyranitar Double Edges again, not risking Rock Slide's accuracy, and Suicune brings it pretty low here. So yeah, this game is pretty much over here. Tyranitar can just spam Double Edge and win. Maybe VZR could have survived for a bit longer if they sent in Salamence earlier, but I think the fate was sealed. So yeah, Umberto takes game 1 pretty cleanly here. Well, not cleanly, but close enough. Umberto did a pretty good job trading Pokemon whenever necessary in order to make progress in the game so that VZR's stall team didn't try to win the war of attrition by choking out the offensive Pokemon. And Umberto didn't let VZR set up with their Suicune nor Snorlax. Overall, my teammate was pretty much on top of things. Will he make another decisive victory in game 2, or will VZR tie up the set? Let's keep watching! So here's game 2. We have Umberto leading with Salamence while VZR leads with Zapdos. Salamence immediately has to switch out to Jirachi and it takes Thunder Wave, which is pretty suboptimal. Tyranitar gets a free switch here, as a paralyzed Jirachi cannot do anything here. Although this Tyranitar has leftovers, so it will be put on a timer here. Salamence comes in on a Focus Punch, although it can't really threaten Tyranitar either, so Umberto has to lose some more momentum here. VZR sends in Zapdos here on a Brick Break, which is kind of risky because Brick Break is not guaranteed to KO Tyranitar from a mixed set, and Zapdos can threaten another Thunder Wave. Jirachi comes in here on a Baton Pass, and VZR still goes to Tyranitar. You can't do that forever. A risky Protect here to scout the set, and this might just be BKC Tar, which is 4 attacks max HP. Tyranitar. It's pretty threatening, especially on slower targets. Claydol comes in on a Focus Punch here. VZR needs to preserve their Tyranitar to threaten Jirachi, so they decide to send in a Claydol of their own. Usually when two Claydols are against each other, it's kind of a stalemate here. Either one of them explodes, or luckily someone has Shadow Ball here. Fortress comes in on a Psychic, and tries to set up spikes, although can't really do that against the Claydol. Earthquakes and HP Bugs can't be launched at each other forever. So yeah, it's pretty much just a couple of turns of Claydol on Fortress action, trying to basically win the spikes game here. Eventually what's going to happen is Claydol doesn't explode here, which I probably would have done here to prevent Fortress taking an action that turn, as Fortress at say like 10% would be very exploitable here. But yeah, now Clayle explodes with one spike up, so Fortress kinda did its job here, although it cannot check anything else. Now we have another Zapdos in on Salamence scenario where Salamence has to immediately lose momentum. Jirachi comes in on a Thunder Wave. Claydol can't really do much to Zapdos either. It just dies to Hidden Power like twice. Now Tyranitar takes Spikes damage in addition to Toxic, so it is less threatening. So VZR has to get a lot of damage in on Tyranitar in as few turns as possible, and Umberto's making that not happen. Claydol pivots in on an Earthquake, nicely done, and also takes a Wish, which is kind of insignificant. Maybe if Hidden Power critted. But yeah, now Tyranitar is gone, and what does VZR send in? Swampert. Instead of exploding right away, Umberto pivots in Starmie. This Swampert actually reveals Substitute, so Umberto pretty much knows what to expect here. Now this is where the battle gets interesting here, and this caused a lot of discussion in the live battles chat, because notice this Swampert's max speed, 240, and Starmie's max speed is 361. So if this Starmie is max speed, it will outspeed this Endeavor Swampert after a Select Berry boost. Starmie's speed stat actually determines what plays should be made here. If Starmie is max speed, then it can't really recover stall an Endeavor Swampert because it will just die to sand. But if Starmie is slower, it will have a better chance at surviving, if I remember correctly here. Yeah, Umberto chooses to keep breaking the Substitute here. And Swampert wastes an Endeavor PP here. That was not a smart play, in my opinion. Snorlax comes in to check Starmie, and it causes Umberto to switch out into Salamence, just to weaken the attack, and we reveal a Curse Set. We see a double... Actually, we don't see a double switch here. VZR actually goes to Zapdos here. Interesting play here. I guess Snorlax can't do a lot of damage to Salamence, or was worried about Dragon Dance. But yeah, I was wondering about that play here. Jirachi comes in on a Thunderbolt this time instead of a Thunder Wave, and it can't really do much here. Jirachi throws up a Wish, dodging full paralyses, and it causes Zapdos to use Hidden Power instead. So that was a good bluff by Umberto. So yeah, Jirachi's pretty much staying in here as it can't really do much to the rest of VZR's team. Usually Jirachi is very scary here, but with like Snorlax and Substitute Swampert, it becomes less threatening and way too passive. Not risking a Fire Punch burn, Salamence pivots in on the Cursed Snorlax, and Snorlax is forced to explode here as Salamence tried to roar. Now we see Starmie in on Zapdos threatening a KO with Ice Beam, although Jirachi comes in on a Hidden Power. I think VZR is trying to middle ground here in case Claydol switches in. Yeah, this Zapdos is also on a timer, just like VZR's Tyranitar, so it will become less threatening over time. Zapdos Baton passes into Metagross here, and Jirachi tries to Toxic it and fails. Jirachi trying to go against Metagross is pretty risky here, because Metagross can set up Agility and potentially sweep the rest of the team, but not if it gets burnt. If it didn't get burnt, it can Meteor Mash Claydol, potentially killing it, and Claydol can't really do much with Earthquake. It would have to Earthquake against Starmie twice, and Starmie has to risk Hydro Pump accuracy, and the last could potentially deal with Metagross, we'll have to see. But yeah, this burn seals VZR's fate here, as Jirachi can just spam Wish and Fire Punch till it's to its heart's content. Yeah, Metagross does get Jirachi pretty low, and Jirachi cannot throw up a Wish here, so yeah, Jirachi's pretty much dead weight at this point. Swampert now gets a free turn to Substitute as Starmie comes in. Starmie breaks the sub, and Swampert substitutes again, and here is the big turn. Swampert gets a Select Berry boost, and it's still behind a Substitute. The main goal of Endeavor Swampert is to try to get a 2-for-1. Once it gets to 1 HP with the Substitute up, and it's faster than almost anything in the game, it tries to Endeavor something to 1 HP so that Sandstorm kills it, and the next thing that comes in would take a huge Surf or Ice Beam, or potentially Roar to play around soft-boiled spammers. Endeavor Swampert is pretty gimmicky. Well, not very gimmicky per se, but it compromises on its ability to check Metagross and Tyranitar as it's trying to set up and sweep. So you'd have to have a backup check to those Pokemon with Swampert if you're trying to use Swampert this offensively. So yeah, what's likely going to happen is that Starmie's going to try to break the substitute and then it dies to Endeavor, and something else will have to take a lot of HP or a lot of damage to try to finish off Swampert. It's pretty much an all or nothing kind of Pokemon here. Yeah, Starmie elects to break the substitute and it dies to Endeavor. And people were like saying a lot of stuff in live matches about it, on whether or not like Umberto made a misplay here. Tyranitar takes 99% from Surf. If it was a Hydro that pumped that hit, that thing would have been gone, and Swampert could have potentially gotten a 3 for 1 in that scenario. Very risky play from Umberto, but it played off. Now Zapdos is in, and all Umberto has to do is just stall and win the game. So this is a clean 2-0 win for Umberto in the finals. Umberto did get a decent amount of good luck in this game. I'd say there were minimal amounts of misplays, and there were also a minimal amount of like really crazy / gutsy plays in this game. Both players knew what they were doing, and they pretty much had a plan going into both games. Nevertheless, it was Umberto who came out on top in the first set of the week. Stay tuned for more finals games. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This is Starstruck Shiny, signing off.